We are live. Hi.
And
10
back.
times better universe. The 10 times better universe.
Yeah, our family. Come on, y'all.
A
Come
couple
on and
people
share.
wrote me and asked me if I was going to continue the toxic series.
Lord have mercy.
That letting go of toxic people.
You know they love those topics.
Man, they love that thing. I was surprised though, Pastor Nick. I have to admit to you, I was surprised that once I started looking,
Mm,
the amount of toxicity, and God is so good in His Word that He displays not just the strengths but the weaknesses
yeah,
of people.
yeah. He's
And I'm
very real
also
about everything.
yeah, and I'm also continuing to be amazed that Suleimana. Hello, Nicola. Hi. Um, I, I'm so amazed. I'm still amazed that it's so applicable to today.
Yeah,
What people are
absolutely.
going through today.
Yeah, it's true. The thing is true. Nothing's new under the sun.
That's what he says,
Everything fits.
and it ain't a lie. It's true, man.
Yep. That's even true of cinema. Unfortunately, I was watching Do the Right Thing last night, and it fits now.
Do the right thing.
Yeah,
What's that movie about?
this the Spike Lee movie where
Oh
he
yeah.
was he's working at a pizza place.
Oh yeah.
It,
He's funny.
it's
He's so funny.
I'm like the same racial issues we're dealing with today. It's like it just
Yeah.
keeps repeating itself.
Well, yeah. It's the Bible's clear, like you said. Nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he did. Paul says the Old Testament was written for our comfort, for our
Hmm.
learning,
Hmm.
um, so we can learn from the mistakes of others.
Yeah. Just like the Old Testament reveals the sin of man, uh, and the New Testament reveals God's solution to the problem.
Hmm.
But also at the same time, the Old Testament reveals the heart of God.
Yep,
And then Jesus has to be born so that theology becomes a living theology and,
absolutely.
and not just something that is theoretical
Yep. Excuse me.
or invisible, if I can use that word. That Jesus is is visible theology, the visible theology of God.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the Old Testament shows the heart of God because
It
this
does.
whole this whole Old Testament God was mean, judgment, wrathful. I'm like, y'all need to
No,
reread the Old Testament.
no.
There's a whole lot of mercy in there.
And he's extraordinarily balanced.
Absolutely.
And if you ever needed to understand the extent of his forgiveness, you got to read Judges.
Yep.
If that
Hmm.
is not the repetition of messing up and getting rescued and messing up and getting rescued and messing up and getting rescued, and he has to birth a deliverer in the previous generation sometimes
Mm,
so that the deliverer is ready for the next generation when they mess up.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Because you know they're gonna mess up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yep. Uh, I reread Jeremiah. I think it was this year, late last year,
Hmm.
and the amount of mercy in there is amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, even when they're getting ready to go into judgment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we always said mercy precedes judgment. That judgment's already in. Mercy is already in place when He releases the judgment. It's
Hmm.
amazing.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Somebody brought up a comment with the yeah. We're trying to fix this echo. Sorry, I don't know why it's echoing. Don't ask them what they want to be. Ask them what problem they want to solve.
That's right.
And when you taught that to our kids here, it was
Oh, it changed them.
yeah.
It changed them. I mean, it just. I mean, I knew they were changing when their parents would see me in church or call me and say, "Look, I don't know what you're saying to my son or my daughter, but I need you to keep saying it." Cleaning up their rooms, they're
Mm, yep.
doing their homework without supervision.
Mm,
But and you know what God did for me, Pastor Nick, during that time.
mm,
Even though it appeared as though I was doing all the sowing into them, it showed me that when uh, I always said to you and others that I did not have a word for the young folk,
Mm.
and it showed me that if I use my fathering position, I have plenty to say to them
Yep. Yep.
in a way that they can receive it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was an eye opener for me too.
Yeah, well, you just did for them, but you did for me and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the other
that's
young
all.
ones. Just
That's
so that's what
all.
it was.
That's
Yeah.
all.
It was-
Something Keisha said. What did she
I'm
say?
trying to read through. Walked on saw a man cried. He had no food at all, but thank God I gave him food. He was happy because he had eaten for days.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so
a
I guess
good
it's
thing,
testimony.
Keisha. That was a good testimony, but also was a test.
Yeah,
The Bible lets us know that if we have the ability to help and we don't help, that God sees that as sin.
yep,
Yeah.
so true.
Yes. And a lot of times we're tested by that. Even when homeless people walk up to us and they're asking for $1, and we have $1,000 in our pockets, but yet don't want to share that one. I think what I do is I don't know when God is testing me,
Yep,
so I just make sure I respond.
yeah, have some with you all the time.
I just make sure I respond, man.
Yeah, man. When the things was open, I would, whenever the Philly, I always take extra money just in case.
Hmm.
Walking down Center City, you
Yeah,
just know
you never know, man.
homeless person.
Yeah, you never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any questions at all?
About tonight's conversation.
Yeah. Questions, comments. Bring them on. Robin, that's the question in the statement. Oh, for your last question for the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
That was something about a woman not connecting herself to a man who doesn't know who he is.
Shoo. You find a lot of ladies uh, find a man that's safe, and a man should be safe, but a man that has to be mothered by his woman is not a safe place for her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Antoinette says there's a horrible echo sound. Is that
It's
coming
on
from
it's,
me?
it's it's on my part. I don't know why I'm echoing.
Did you go in and take the echo thing off?
It was I turned it off, turned it on, did everything, and it's still the same.
Okay.
I turned mine down.
I took mine off and put it on.
Turn your echo cancellation back on. See if that might help.
Okay. Did that help at all?
Testing, testing. There we go. All right, cool.
Got it?
Yeah, we got it. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Is yours fine now?
Yeah, mine is fine.
Okay.
Mine was fine before.
Okay. All right. Cool beans. Somebody brought up
Okay.
toxic fathers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, you take a man that has been taught only to work and make babies and try to act tough, and you've got a toxic man on your hands. Because toxic people, I believe, to get into a relationship and be successful, that's any relationship, uh, girlfriend, boyfriend, spousal, parent, children. In order to do that successfully, there has to be enough of you to share. And a lot of people get into relationships without bringing anything to the table to share other than their presence.
Mm-hmm.
And contrary to popular belief, that's not enough.
Yep. So true. So true.
And a lot of times, what happens, and Nicole is making a point that it is so easy. We talked today about the fact that a lot of Christians are making snap spiritual and emotional decisions because they were actually hiding those things in the congregational meetings.
Mm.
That the gathering actually allowed them to hide who they really were. But now that the gatherings have gone away, the shield is gone,
Hmm.
and we're seeing temperamental things in people that some you didn't know existed, but others it has become exaggerated.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many people taking so many pictures of themselves. And it's intensified because isolation, if you will reveal self-esteem. Are you comfortable with yourself, or do you have to reach out continually for the affirmation of other people?
Yeah. That social media for this generation is a heck of a drug, man.
Yeah,
That just to get
yeah,
followers and attention.
yeah.
Enjoy the sessions. If someone tells you you need to get out and date, what do you tell them in response? I find the right words, but some words I want to say when I say I have not dated in a while.
Well, first off, why do you think you need to say that? And I believe that that is too much information for a casual relational occurrence. If and I believe that if something is clicking, it clicks for both people. And in successive conversations, once you have a degree of trust, which means you can't really have a degree of trust unless there's a degree of trueness. You can't have faith in a person unless they do things you can believe in. So I think you may be putting a little bit too much out there about yourself, um, especially in the context, Kife, of letting people know where your vulnerabilities are before you know you can trust them with your feelings and your information.
Yeah. Ada was talking about she was giving to somebody and it was help pulling this homeless person back to God. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember the other day a young lady called and she was frantic. And of course, I get around to asking the person, do you know the Lord personally? And she didn't. And you lead a person to Christ, and she's about to get involved in our process.
Mhm.
You don't know who you're talking to, and you don't know what they need. But
Yep.
I don't think you can go wrong. Kife, you hold on to this too. I don't think you can go wrong talking about Jesus in the sense of relationship.
Hmm.
Not I don't get involved in people that don't know the Lord. Just simply, do you know the Lord? And then people will just and you got to do more listening than you do talking initially, Kife. Because once you put it out there, people are chameleons. Once you put it out there, I'm saved and I go to church every week. The person will change right in front of you if they've decided you're the target. So, got to practice some wisdom, man.
Yep. Yep. Any other questions? Oh man, it just slipped my mind. Oh well, it'll come back to me.
Yeah, you ain't far enough down the
I know.
road for
I
that
know.
now.
I know. I know.
As my grandmother used to say to me, "Baby,
Man,
you're not far enough down
I
the
know,
road
right?
for
I
that."
know. I'm trying to remember. I was like, I was
Oh Lord, have
what
mercy.
part, but but a man. Oh, a man knowing who he is and the image that he presents to those who he loves and who loves him.
Right.
I remember you said years ago, we are responsible. Two things: we're responsible for the image, the perception other people have of us,
Mm-hmm.
um, and if someone says something to us, the first thing we usually do is go in defense mode. We need to
Yep.
see, is it actually true?
Absolutely.
So usually if somebody's got something to say, it's some image we presented
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to act like it's not there,
Yeah.
but it's not there.
And it's I think somewhat of a lack of accountability and responsibility for the thoughts we create in other people.
Yeah.
It's like communication. The burden of communication has never been on the hearer. It's always been on the speaker.
Yeah.
But most people communicate in a way that they want the hearer to translate what they're saying. Watch this, and translate it in a way that makes what the speaker is saying make sense.
Hmm.
But no, that's not what you said. That's how
Yeah.
you took that. No, that's how you said it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't tell me don't say Monday is a sunny day. And when I say, well, why did you say Monday was a sunny day? Well, I didn't say that. Yes, you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you mean when you said it? Well,
Hmm.
what I really meant was I like Sundays better. Well, that's not what you said.
That's not what you said. Yep. Right. I like that thing you said. So you said,
Yep.
what's up? So you
So you
said,
said, so I think you're
you
saying, so
said,
you said.
so you said, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll unpack any conversation. So you're saying, so I think you're saying,
Mm,
so you're saying,
yeah.
that'll give the person time to do several things. Audit their own statement, audit their
Mm,
mindset,
mm.
restate what they want to say. But also if they're lying, give them a chance.
To fix it.
You fix it. You know?
That's true. So Pam wants to know, could you talk more about what you mean when you say bring more to the table than a knife and a fork?
Well, some people think, and this is, I don't know how they get this way. Some men, some women think that all they have to bring to a relationship is their presence.
Hmm.
You ought to just be glad to have me, regardless of what me represents. They think presence is enough,
Yep.
and it's not because people that think their presence is enough are always demanding more than your presence from other people.
Yep. Yeah. That is so true.
Was that you saying, Sid?
Um, Folks who hear something totally different than what you said, she knows people like that.
They're hearing through their
Mhm.
stronghold.
Yeah.
They're hearing through the stronghold that dominates their lives.
Hmm.
When a person can only translate your words, watch this, to attach to their own fear, low self-esteem, it's amazing. Fear, rejection, jealousy, envy, anger will always attract the words and the people it needs to legitimize itself.
Yep.
So you
Absolutely.
so if you got some rejection issues or low self-esteem issues, you cannot hear a whole conversation. You only hear the parts that feed your issue.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. It's always, you said it earlier, people crack me up. You think I'm stupid? Like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? That was your filter coming
That,
across.
yep, yep. That's that stronghold screaming.
Yep. But one thing, correct me if I'm wrong here. The ones who say things like, why are you talking to me like I'm a child,
Hmm.
usually act like children a lot and don't realize that, you when you talk to them, you got to be so more direct. You got to be a little more,
Hmm. I agree with it.
almost like they are a child, not like
Well,
demeaning them,
I,
but you know what I'm saying?
most people that say that know that they're behaving and thinking like a child at that moment.
Hmm.
But what we want to fall down in the dirt. We want you to pick us up,
Mm,
dust us off, and give us a few points.
yeah.
Crazy.
Right. What is the meaning of a stronghold?
Okay. Now, the classic traditional understanding of a stronghold would be something like a fortress. Okay, but the Bible identifies a stronghold as a thought. And these thoughts are places that the demonic hides in and hides behind. So the stronghold is a hiding place for an evil thought or for demonic presence. So what happens? So maybe I have fear in my life. Maybe I have abuse early in life. Maybe I have some rejection issues. Maybe I have some low self-esteem issues. Perhaps I've got some issues with the way that I look, or um, issues with communicating in ways that cause people to question what I'm saying. And over time, that builds a stronghold or a place that low self-esteem can hide behind. It hides in a thought. So what happens, and the Lord says that pulling down imaginations and every thought that exalted itself against the knowledge of God and bringing it into obedience with the knowledge of Christ. So a stronghold is a thought. that becomes a hiding place, if you will, for an evil thought or demonic presence, or for an emotion that is counterproductive. And what we do, we put some kind of virtuous cultural title on the stronghold so it doesn't seem like it is. For instance, ambition is not purpose. So when we are cutthroat about getting ahead, we'll just say stuff like, I'm very ambitious. So we put a very virtuous title on, watch this, the stronghold of not feeling like we measure up, not feeling like we compete, and not feeling like we can achieve.
Hmm.
So I'm basically willing to do anything to get ahead.
Yep.
So when ambition is not divine purpose, we'll justify casualties in our lives for the successes we're trying to achieve.
Yep.
So a stronghold is a thought in which an evil thought hides in, the demonic hides in, and makes it difficult for people to help us, heal us, uh, talk to us, because we hear everything through the hurt. We hear everything through that established thought in our lives. I hope I helped you.
Yeah. Any other questions? It's almost 6:45. Any other questions? Anything?
I must have did a good job explaining stuff. They really understood it,
It
huh?
was, it was really it was very straightforward. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
I think the whole stronghold thing um, has been incorrectly assimilated. Um, Strongholds are manifested in our behavior, but exist in our thoughts. So if
Mhm.
we think of a thought as a place where things are concealed,
Yeah.
then we understand how a person can be depressed for a long time, and that become a stronghold in their lives because
Hmm.
their whole life is filtered through that thing.
Yep.
Or if I've got low self-esteem, I'm anticipating being rejected in whatever context I find myself. I filter my whole life through that thought stronghold.
Yep.
And God says, first thing I do is pull down the stronghold. The greatest Old Testament example of a stronghold being pulled down is Jericho, of course.
Hmm.
And they used no physical means to pull down the walls. It's all spiritual means that bring the walls down. That's literally the illustration of pulling down strongholds.
Hmm. Yep. Maribel talked about she's glad she's single, waiting on the timing. She don't entertain nonsense, which makes the dating pool way smaller. How can people like me stay stronger in our lane?
I think having your standard, Maribel, is ex- part of that strength, and being able to watch this, being able to recognize a counterfeit when the counterfeit approaches you. And most people will adjust what they believe God is sending them, depending on how much patience they have with God. So you one of the things I'm going to be talking about next week when I'm preaching on witches is that people that believe in witches have lost trust in God and now are looking for some other individual by evil means to tell them what God has already sanctioned for them.
Yeah.
So it's thank you, Pastor Dean. Um, I hope I'm helping you.
Does every person have a stronghold?
I believe it's possible that every person would have one. Now, how fortified it is and how strong it is two different things. But I believe that if we're not careful, we can have 'em. I remember when I got saved, my stronghold because of my dad was my relationship with men, and there was no way I was going to be able to pastor a church and
Hmm.
have an issue with men. So God made me start fathering men to cure my father issues
Hmm.
so I could be a spiritual father to other men. So that was a stronghold for me. And then one of the first things that happened when we started pastoring Pastor Nick was that deacon's attack.
Yeah.
And I had some long conversations with God because I realized what the enemy was trying to do was reawaken or rebuild
Yeah.
the stronghold.
Yeah.
And I refused to make that choice.
Yep. Yep. Dana says, how do men process loss, specifically loss of a mother? If he says that he's good, should I just leave it alone?
Well, if he says he's good, he's lying.
Yeah.
Um, Now, let me qualify that statement. If the young man had a very close relationship with his mother, he is culturally programmed when asked the question about it to say, I'm good. Um, and in most cases, he or she is not. Now, when it comes to saved people, we give the same political answer, but may not necessarily feel like we're doing good. Um, I, I I don't know if you've ever had seen my series on grief. It's called
Your heart will beat again.
Your Heart Will Beat Again. And the reality is that grief is a gift from God, and mourning is the expression of that grief. So grief is a gift from God. Why do you say it's a gift, Bishop? Because grief is the gift God gives us to take us from the shock of a loss to the acceptance of the loss. You notice I didn't say shock to agreement. It's from shock to acceptance. But if you get the series, Your Heart Will Beat Again, not ironically, which revelationally and providentially we did in February of 2020, right before COVID began to have this carnage effect on the country. You'll see not only the integrity of the series, but the timing of it, and it'll take grief and mourning to a very, very different place of understanding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can find that on go to
YouTube,
YouTube,
right? Right.
David G. Evans 1. Oh, it's on there already. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. YouTube. They get a couple plays.
Yeah. It's in the link is posted in the chat.
Trust dilemmas. Sharm Lockerman has a question.
Would you say that people with trust dilemmas is a stronghold?
If it's trust issues to where you're not trusting people at all, not trusting anyone, I would say that's possibly a stronghold. Because oftentimes what happens, now strongholds are really good at two things. Um, it protects you at one hand, but if it's an evil stronghold, it restricts you from what God has for you. So that's why the stronghold has to be, if you will, exchanged for God as a stronghold versus the satanic thought stronghold that the enemy desires for us to be bound by. Because all we're really talking about, stronghold, is a form of bondage.
Yep.
It is not possession because the people of God cannot be possessed. But the second definition, the two definitions of possessed in the New Testament are ownership and mastery of. Ownership and mastery of. So a child of God can be possessed, but there can be some emotions and some feelings and some mindsets that the evil one has mastery over. That's why it has to be spiritually broken.
Heard a pastor on Reach Gospel Radio talk about body being a temple, which I know that he said sex is worship. Is it accurate?
No,
In the right context.
in the right context it is,
Yes.
but
Not
probably
outside.
probably not the way he was talking.
Yeah. In a marriage context, it is.
In the marriage context, yes. But if you want to get there in the marriage context, but not just I'm using my temple and
Right, right.
come on.
Any of the questions is almost 7:00, y'all.
Yeah.
So while you're typing them out, if you have them, we got Embrace tomorrow night, and I believe it's Shepherds tomorrow also.
Do I have shepherds tomorrow night?
It's Shepherds tomorrow. Yeah, it's the third
Okay.
Monday.
Okay.
Tuesday is linked couples.
Yeah.
Wednesday at 7. Wednesday's Bible study, of course. I don't think there's anything Thursday. Maya will let us know. We always post a schedule, so you guys make sure
Yeah.
you tune
And
in.
also, you all, thank you for joining us. And just to mention this before Pastor Nick
Good.
finishes his comments for the night, for those of you who are geographically away from us, but you desire a deeper connection, some of you may not know that we formed a connections church, which is for those people who are outside of our region but who want to have a deeper connection with the house. So our virtual church is called the Connections Church. You might want to consider prayerfully becoming a part of that church, and it will allow you to be engaged in about 90% of our ministries, Pastor Nick.
Majority of them that I've been running up.
But yeah, about 90% of our ministries, from our Embrace Discipleship series to our Lifestyles ministries, which is men, women, singles, couples, millennials, youth, um, our panel discussions, our Bible studies, of course. Um, Join us in when we're fasting as a church, when we're praying as a church. It's everything but you being able to be here physically. So if you desire deeper connection, I suggest that you go to, where would they go to get to the Connections Church?
Email social at gotobethany.com.
Email? Okay.
Email
Okay.
social at gotobethany.com, and we'll make
Okay.
sure you get all the links and everything that you need.
Yeah.
Oh, right there. There you go.
Is it up now?
You can go to our website too. Go to bethany.com/connections.
Go to bethany.com/connections,
Yeah, click on that,
and
and
you can get the information you need.
yeah,
You'll be blessed by it, even though you're far away from us geographically. People all over the country, couple from around the world, are part of who we're doing.
yeah.
Did you realize, I was going through my Facebook the other day? I didn't know Nigeria was our biggest audience.
I didn't know that either. I know they
Yeah,
email us all the time, but
yeah,
I didn't.
I didn't
Yeah.
know they were our biggest audience.
Wow.
And then
Interesting.
Ghana after that, and then
Okay.
I was really surprised.
That's good.
Outside the United States, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, but they hungry for God. That's good.
Well, we got to keep feeding them.
Yeah.
Ada
Yeah.
said she's very blessed by connections. Thank you, Ada.
Yeah.
And Ada's from Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Keisha Bryant, did she ask her question?
She talked about she's getting married, so she's doing the right thing by taking it slow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Take
You,
another.
you, you cannot get to know a person in a short period of time. We've been teaching that you have to allow time and circumstance to reveal character over a period of time, to know how a person functions in good times and bad times, to see how they react to challenge, because the future is full of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to discern how a person reacts to things.
Yep.
And time and circumstance, you don't create the time and the circumstance, but God will cause time and circumstance to converge, and that will reveal character. And that's when we have a saying here that when God takes the time to show you someone's heart, don't ignore it.
I think one last one was when someone said a person is wounded. What does that mean?
I think it means that there has been some historic event that has left a long lasting effect that may have developed into a stronghold, an emotional stronghold, where that injury makes them hesitant about their future. So, a wounded person is a person who has been negatively affected by a historic event.
Yeah.
Robin, you better go slow because you're too old to make a mistake.
There you go. Look at it like that.
Shoot,
You're looking at it wrong.
you don't want drama at this point in your life.
No.
No, you don't want drama at this point in your life, Robin.
Yep. Yep. Any other questions before we get ready to run?
Now, Pastor Dean says he's a witness. I told him to slow down, and my pace became better.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Hey, Ramona Phillips.
Yeah. Hmm.
Robin, you wasn't joking. Don't come back when I'm joking. Any more questions, you all? Any more comments? It's 3 minutes of 7. You got 3 minutes to jump in there. We've had a long day in the Lord. Amen.
Hmm. Hmm. You too, CT.
Yeah, we're gonna. This week's another busy week, isn't it, Pastor?
It's always a busy week around here. So it never stops.
When they say it's the church that never sleeps, we're not joking.
Yeah, it never stops.
It never sleeps.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. I'm glad we
Oh,
had
yeah.
that. I'm glad they had that legacy before we went into the pandemic season. And trying to build that consistency would have been a difficult thing to do.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, the ones that weren't pastoring when it was open are struggling emotionally right now. They actually got to be home and pastor their church.
Yeah, and they don't know how to do it.
Yep. Somebody asked, could a stronghold be two-sided?
Two-sided. Two-sided. I'm not sure I understand the question.
I don't understand it either.
Explain that a little bit.
While she's doing that, Sid asked, will require folks to be vaccinated when we return to church.
We can't require that,
Yeah.
but we can strongly suggest that they are. And the vaccination does not diminish the need for masking, does not diminish the need for common sense. Um, in certain situations, I know some churches that, I was talking to a pastor last week. He said 90% of his congregation uh, was vaccinated. Now, he's got an intimate congregation, so probably about 50, 60 people at the most. And he said only 10% of his folk were not. So they were having church and doing the distancing and all that together. Um, I think that what the way we've been thinking, and I know Pastor Nick will agree with this, we've been watching how the nation is handling this pandemic. And we have to exercise wisdom in the context of our surroundings. Um, and right now, the nation is not behaving in a way that would cause this thing to wane at all. I think. I think they're trying to beat it back by vaccinating people, but I'm not sure they can vaccinate people fast enough before these variants start to develop.
Yep.
Um, I understand there are some brand new ones out now,
Hmm.
um, and only because we won't stay out of position where we're replicating.
Yeah, and then catching up with the third shot, the booster, for those
Yeah,
those people who got it after like a 6 months to a year time. That's
yeah,
a whole nother.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they need a booster because, um, when I got my second shot, I think I told you, Pastor Nick, the nurse said to me, "Now don't run out of here and go sit in a crowded place, because you don't have 100% immunity.
Yep.
You've got to exercise some wisdom." And we've said this before. It's the only time in the church world that I've seen wisdom considered a lack of faith.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And people
But
forget. Sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
Not many people forget in New Jersey, New York, when you look at the person per capita,
Hmm.
we're like, I think 300 people per capita in New
Hmm.
Jersey. New York is
Hmm.
like 200. You
Hmm.
go to places like Texas, and then it's like 1,200 per capita.
Yeah, yeah,
It's more people condensed in our spot.
sure.
That's why it spreads so fast in this area compared to everywhere else.
Yeah,
We live on top of each other.
absolutely. The population density is much higher.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So outside service, people are asking.
yeah.
We're
We're
working
we're
towards
going
it.
we're going to start. We want we're just waiting to make sure the weather's going to be somewhat consistent. Hopefully, I wanted to get started in April. We're going to see if we can. Of course, us, Sid. We are working on a change of format,
Mm.
presentation, and looking forward to it being not just another outdoor experience, but another unique outdoor experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're looking forward to we're going to crank it up another notch. Um,
Yeah.
okay, Patricia Melton, recently widowed and remarried. 3 months later, and now the marriage is bad. What happened? Too soon. Too soon. Um, perhaps not knowing the background, having there's what God prefers and what God permits. And a lot of times, a strong emotion will give us the sense that we are doing what God prefers for us. When in actuality, all the emotion does is give us permission to step into what He permits.
Yeah.
He gives us this will, and a lot of times our will gets us in some difficulty.
Yep.
But 3 months later, especially when you get to a place where you're in your 50s and 60s and you remarry, a lot of the kiddie problems should not be present, because conversation should have occurred before that to make sure that there's a large portion of agreement going in and finding out what's important and what's not important, what priorities are and what are not priorities, what you like and what you don't like. Those things are absolutely essential to find out before. Um, so I don't know all the background, but I've counseled something like 20,000 couples. So out of the 44,000 people, 45,000 people that I've counseled, 20,000 of them had to be couples, maybe more than that. So um, I've kept that hands-on experience, because I think people need that.
Yep. Yep.
I guess that's it for tonight.
You guys have a great night. Don't forget to send your prayer requests to soulstrike.com.
Absolutely. So we can pray for you on Wednesday night.
Yep. Yeah, we'll got a few
Thank you
more
for
weeks.
joining us.
Yeah. God bless y'all.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Tell somebody about 10 times better. All right now.
See y'all later.